I finally understand why Zhang Zhuolan, despite being a warlord, was so beloved by the people. In everyday life, if someone doesn't pay back their debts, they're public enemy number one. He becomes a national hero. Back then, in order to boost the economy of Northeast China, he used pension as collateral to borrow 1 billion from Japan. The Japanese saw that he wasn't well educated and figured they could take advantage of him, so they set the interest rate sky high. But Zhang didn't even bother to look at the terms. He just signed the contract. The Japanese were overjoyed, thinking they just hit the jackpot. But when the repayment day came, Zhang Zhuolan flat out denied the debt. It turned out that as soon as the money came in, he changed Fenshun's name to Shenyang, and since he couldn't read, he could only write Zhang Hiyue a seal mark, so he scribbled that on the loan agreement. This made the loan contract completely invalid. The Japanese were furious. They immediately threatened to come after him if he didn't pay up. But Zhang Zhuolan, a veteran of the political scene, wasn't afraid. He boldly replied, "If you have the guts, come and fight me. Kill me, and you'll never see that money again." The Japanese were stunned. Later, when Guo Songling defected, Zhang Zhuolan shamelessly went to Japan for help. He promised to give them half of Northeast China's resources in exchange. After the previous experience, the Japanese were extra cautious this time, but the thought of getting half of Northeast China for just a little money and manpower was too tempting. In the end, he gave in and lent him the money again. The Japanese were beside themselves with regret, but that wasn't the end of it. To eliminate other warlords and expand his territory, this time, he offered an even sweeter deal. He promised Japan all of Northeast China's railroads and mining resources. Though Japan had been duped twice, the railroads and mining resources were simply too important to pass up, so they lent him the money again. When signing, Zhang Zhuolan was about to write his Zhang Hiyue mark again, but a Japanese officer caught him. They insisted he write his real name. Zhang, claiming he couldn't read, had one of his subordinates sign it for him. The Japanese thought, he's tricked us twice, he won't do it again. But when it came time to collect, Zhang Zhuolan again insisted it wasn't his signature, so the contract was invalid. The Japanese were nearly ready to vomit blood in frustration. This guy just kept conning them. They never learn it. Japan would probably have gone bankrupt by now. No wonder Zhang Zhuolan once said in an interview, "My father knew exactly how to deal with the Japanese because he promised things that were impossible and never promised what he could actually do." One netizen humorously commented, with Zhang Zhuolan's credit history in Japan,